Okay, if you've been living under a rock, noted YouTuber, former NFL athlete, and ESPN host Shannon Sharpe is in the midst of a big SEX scandal, $50 million lawsuit. He tried to settle it for $10 million. He's 56. He's African American. The girl who he supposedly met when she was 19, she's white. There's all these text messages, some of which are like sex, race play, and blah, blah, blah. So it's got all the little hot button things that the low end of American society finds titillating. But it's also right on the borderline of crime. It exists at the edge of the scammer world, which I'm very interested in. You know, people are obsessed with gangsters and tough guys and drug dealers, but selling drugs, robbing people, that's a small chunk of all the money generated by crime. Do you know that counterfeit goods generate 5-6 times more money than dope, than hard drugs? And fraud of all sorts is even bigger than that. Fraud is the biggest crime that there is. And in America, which has become the home of the addicted and the land of the litigated, litigation means lawsuit, means court, many people seem to be playing the lawsuit lottery. And this girl who, so I guess Shannon met her in a gym. She was 19, he was 50. Listen, people can do whatever. They're adults. And of course, if, whatever, it's, so she's claiming like so many of these cases with celebrity males, these women are with them. Like, they're saying he raped me, but then they had a relationship with him, right? Shannon Sharpe isn't accused of hiding in a stairwell or some bushes and jumping out and grabbing her. Just like Harvey Weinstein or a lot of these people, they had ongoing relationships, and the women say, oh, well, I was intimidated into it. How are you intimidated by someone 1,000 miles away? So Shannon, in an effort to, so she's suing him for $50 million, saying he raped her, but there's no criminal charges. Her lawyer is Tony Busby. Tony Busby has become the Benjamin Crump of SEX cases. Tony Busby just got kind of disgraced by letting that fake Jane Doe, who claimed she was 13 when Jay-Z and Diddy passed her around, and then that got quickly ran out of court, and Jay-Z is I'm pretty sure pursuing maybe something with the bar against him. I don't, if a lawyer gets enough, listen, one as an aside, if you ever have a bad experience with a lawyer, people that are licensed by the state, doctors, lawyers, you should complain. You should file formal complaints, and maybe, because you have a responsibility as a citizen, because lawyers, doctors are allowed to do things that the rest of us are not, because they went to school, they took a test, the state has licensed them. Now, maybe your complaint won't get the lawyer disbarred, but you're one on the record. So now when that second and third person does it, they're out of there. So if you're not going to, never let yourself be a victim. Do something about, whether you handle it in the street or handle it in court, handle it somewhere, do something. But anyways, so Tony Busby also has that class action against Diddy where there's 80 people saying Diddy raped him or whatever. So he's definitely an ambulance chaser. But Tony Busby, the lawyer, again, representing the young snow bunny, as Dr. Umar would call her, that's going after Shay. He did also represent the 23 of the 24 women that claimed Deshaun Watson, of the quarterback, is that his name? He had all those charges from he was doing inappropriate things during massages. He paid out on 23 of the cases. Now, there's NDAs and all that. It's hard to believe these celebrities do this and people think, well, or, maybe you think this guy's handsome or he has money and he can do this and that. But it really has nothing to do with that. It's a disorder. I mean, there's several. Who is that? Darren Sharper? He was literally drugging and graping. I hope I'm not saying anybody's name wrong, but that NFL player a couple years back was convicted of that. So people do have that disorder. But Shannon and this woman were in this multi-year relationship. So Shannon struck back Mr. Sharp by sending out or releasing some of the text messages they had exchanged over the years, like, I want you to put a dog collar around me, which is not as uncommon. A lot of women like that, or belt around their neck. She sent him a picture with a woman tied up to a bed. I want you to tie me up and F me like this. So he released these. Then the race play, I want you to put a big black baby in me. Now that's where it gets interesting and where the scamming slicksterness of these women come into play, because that type of text is designed to make him feel masculine or whatever game they're playing. But of course, he's also a guy that if you have a baby by, you're set for life. I mean, you're not going to get millions of dollars, but bitches like that, if they can get $7-8 grand a month and never have to work and watch TV, get fat, smoke weed, pop Oxycontin, they straight. Like, that's their goal. I found that from being in LA. It's kind of disappointing to find that all these shady people in LA, all they really want is a permanent couch of their own, food in the refrigerator, and it's pronounced refrigerator, not refrigerator. They want a couch of their own, the cable never to be cut off, food in the refrigerator, marijuana's always around, whatever their favorite flavor of blunt wrapping is available at the nearest 7-Eleven, liquor store, gas station, what may have you, or maybe they're into Fronta Leaf. What else do they want? And to just not to work. Go shopping sometimes, but they really don't care. Oh, Grubhub. They want Uber Eats and Grubhub. So if they got weed, food being delivered, the TV's on, you know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody going to take their spot on the couch or the futon. That's all they want. And having a baby with a rich guy will get you that. So now she's publicly humiliating herself with the hopes of getting some money, but she doesn't care. Women stand out on streets and get into cars. And as we know, there's no shame left in America because the president don't even have any. So, but that's another story. Now, as far as Mr. Sharp's deviancy, first of all, let me ask you guys. Now, I have a couple of Shays in my phone number list from over the years. Ain't none of them men. I have had one male friend named Shay. Shout out to Shay, he was a cinematographer in one of my movies. But his name was spelled C-H-E. He was named after Che Guevara. So his name was Che. Like, that was his legal name. I've never, that I can think of, Shay is not a name. Maybe it's down south or something. I mean, like, and believe me, I'm highly familiar with African-American names. I mean, in elementary school, I would have 2 Martells, 2 D'Angelos in the same class at the same time. Can't think of any Shays off the top of my head. And Shay, in fact, I have a young lady in my phone under Shay, and she was born a young lady, remains a young lady, but is a young lady. I can't imagine a guy telling me his name was Shay. I certainly wouldn't lock his number in my phone. Let's get to that. Zip with the drip. Shout out to Zip with the drip. But yeah, all jokes aside, like, do you know any men named Shay? They call themselves Shay. Che Guevara don't count. The Cuban revolutionary, if you don't know who that is. And then second part of the question, do you know any shays? Now, and I'm just talking about crazy stuff on YouTube because it makes money. I mean, it's mildly interesting, I guess, people's public deviancy. A lot of people like having sex. I'm sure lots of celebrities or just whoever, everybody does some wild stuff. Why does stuff only come out about certain people? I think there's a set of people that's part of the thrill. See, the down low brother phenomenon, I think that probably part of that is the thrill of that. It's the sex, but that it's the risk. Oh, I might get caught. It's like committing a crime. So the act itself is fun, plus, is someone going to catch us? So here you have a guy, they took it off the internet, but on one of them sports shows, people are saying that he was bragging about how he likes to interface with a woman in a manner that causes her to have to go to the restroom. Not once, but twice, if you catch my drift. Now, first of all, to talk about that on like a YouTube interview is bizarre. So you're a deviant. I mean, listen, and I'm fairly wild, but like, it's one thing to do stuff, but then to talk about it in front of strangers, that's what I find like weird, and it makes all the men seem gay. There's one thing to do whatever while some of women, I mean, not really anything, but I ain't saying that, but wanting other men to know about it. Like even that, a lot of these criminals, guys I know that I'm friends with, maybe they were in prison, they wrote a book, or even guys who weren't and wrote a book about their life, their gangster life. A lot of them will have these for some odd reason, they'll put these real graphic sexual, well, the guys in prison, I get it. They're probably going through some fantasy thing. I stopped reading. Like I can't read about, I don't want any knowledge of your penis, it's strange that a man would talk about this stuff to strangers, male strangers at that. And of course, all this stuff with Shannon is involving, there's a lot of ANAL, sex, and of course, after he was being called GAY, there was the leaked phone where he was accidentally recorded himself having sex, which seemed kind of bizarre. And still, I go back to, don't forget my task for you today. Shay. Any man named Shay, not Che Guevara. And if you're called Shay or Shay, cool, and you're not gay. I'm just saying I haven't. I'm not trying to put that on nobody. It just seems odd to me. I've met Shays and Shays, and they were, off the top of my head, they're 100% women. And the Shay, like a man calls himself Shay, I'm sure that probably exists, but Shay. And so Shannon has a child. He had an African-American wife who has him in court for some abuse charges as well herself. They divorced. So this isn't his first allegation of getting rough with women, and Shannon may have put himself in a bad position legally by the girl who sounds very manipulative just from the tone of her voice. So he's naive to have even got mixed up with her. She kept trying to get him to say, or she was saying, "Oh, you're so manipulative," and he said, "Oh, I'm gonna choke you." Oh, okay, that's why I released those text messages. He said, "Next time I see you, I'm gonna choke you," and she said, "I don't want that," and he said, "You won't have a choice." Now that sounds pretty awful, but if he's gonna present text messages showing that they had like a BDSM type thing going on, it's all quite sordid. She should have took the 10 million. He offered her 10 million as an out of court. Imagine that. Why wouldn't she have taken the 10 million? Is she just, maybe he did do something to her? I mean, what do you guys think? He's in danger. He's probably going to lose his ESPN thing. Michael Irvin had 2023 allegations, and they got him off of ESPN. And then there was just that other scandal on ESPN with the, what did they do with the woman who was sleeping with the boss, and then they gave her own show, or she got the show with the African guy, and she had slept with the boss and the African guy. What's her name? Joy something? Is she still on? Is she still on? I don't keep up with this sports stuff. It's so uninteresting. But yeah, is she still on? So I don't know. The sports people are pretty weird and dumb. Shannon, 10 million he offered her. She didn't take it. That's, maybe he did assault. Like, wow. Like, and it's not they're going after black men. Remember, nobody has gone down harder than Harvey Weinstein. Harvey Weinstein is more powerful and important than all the black celebrities that are caught up or have been sent to prison for a SEX scandal the last few years put together. Now, if you don't believe me, do your own research. But he was. And they gave that guy 20-some years. But interestingly, he's walking his charges back. He got one of his grapes thrown out, and then now he's working on the other one. He might die before he gets out of prison. Now, Harvey Weinstein sounds like a horrible person. I mean, you know, trading, wanting to masturbate in front of women all the time. Like, but that ain't rape. And if you trade your body or your dignity for a role in a movie, well, fair exchange for a fair trade. Money on the wood make the game all good, as they say in the bounty. So, and then of course there's the race component. Everyone else says, what do you get for messing with white women? I mean, you know, but little statistics lesson for you. If a African-American person does not consciously choose to only interact with other African-Americans doing whatever thing they want to, and they randomly select out of the population based on just, you know, I want to hire this person, I like this girl, blah, blah, blah. Well, there are 6 white people for every black person. So statistically, it's not indicative of chasing after white people that a black person does anything with a white person. It's actually what's statistically most likely, as a quick teaching aside from Professor Profit. That's statistics in action. But so what's going to happen? Is this guy going to get fired? She turned down 10 million. Tony Busby, her lawyer, is a shady dirtball, but he did. The Deshaun Watson people paid out, but that don't mean he was guilty. That just means they paid out. I mean, he got aggressive with 23 masseuses. I will tell you this story though. John, we're going to call him, as my aunt used to call him, John Revolting. So my buddy from Detroit, Bernstein, Scott Bernstein, who I don't do crime with, but he does crime reporting on the mob side. He told me he had some friends from college, did all different stuff. One of them got a physical therapy degree. So right fresh out of college, it was a guy, he was doing some at-home massage work, but it wasn't, you know, it was like through medical, like, you know, it wasn't anything weird. And one of the other people in their friend group was a girl who got hired out of college as like a low-level worker at a talent agency, like a Hollywood talent, and they had John Revolting as a client. So at that time, Michigan had the tax incentives on films. They were shooting movies in Michigan. So John Revolting was in town, and she was the liaison. She was the Michigan. So for she was a low-level employee, but for anything happening in Michigan, she was the gopher. So John Revolting was at his hotel somewhere in suburban Detroit, and he wanted a late-night massage. So she figures, well, I got a friend who's doing these physical therapy, high-end massages being paid through hospitals, but shit, John Travolting hurt his back on set. I mean, he'll probably give him $500. So she figures she's hooking her friend up. He gets to the hotel. John Travolting answers nude. And his Vinnie Barbarino was ready for action. Hey! And he fled in terror. Let him tell it. I don't know what happened. I wasn't there. But so this type of stuff does go on. People that have money and power are used to getting their way. And, you know, even a prostitute or an escort can be raped, right? Your wife, you can be convicted of raping your wife, a woman, or, well, for some of you, a man, a boy, or anything in between. Just because you did something with them once, don't mean they got to do it again twice. Just because you did it 15 minutes ago, if they don't want to do it right now, you will get sent to the penitentiary, or in the case of Mr. Shay Shay, you're going to pay. So that's the Shannon Sharpe situation. Pretty sordid, but I think that obviously, well, there are some asexual people, but most people are having some type of sex sometimes. People that are attractive celebrities with a couple bucks, sure, there's lots of wild sex stuff goes on. Of the small amount of people that get caught up in scandals, it always seems to be there's some, it's always something, maybe there's some other men involved or something to do with the man, or they want to tell, like grown 50-year-old men who want to tell other men about, yeah, you know, I get a lot of, I mean, it's like a joke, fellas, correct me if I'm wrong, anybody that's over the age of, past college age, once you're in your even mid-20s, much less your 30s, 40s, whenever we would meet some new guy, we were around some guy, and he just wants, yeah, I got some pussy last night, or she looks like she got some good pussy. Like, you immediately, you're like, oh yeah, he's gay. Why are you telling us this? To let us know you like women? You letting us know you like women? Okay. Well, wouldn't you assume that? What you telling me for? It's like I see you guys all on Instagram showing your gun off. Just lets me know you're scared of somebody. But that's another story entirely. So your homework assignment is, do menses call theyself Shay Shay where you come from? Al Prophet America don't.